Hey there, I'm Aaron, and here's the first tutorial that I'm actually doing a video on. So this one's creating motion vectors in Nuke. So yeah, let me just get right into it. I've got a forest background here. I've got a bird image, and all I'm doing here, since the forest background's 2K or whatever, I'm just reformatting it to 1080. And the bird is 1920 by 1200. It doesn't really matter because I'm going to scale it down anyway. So pretty much, let's just do a basic animation here with this bird. Just scale it down. I mean, obviously, this is for an example's sake because this is so realistic, right? But anyway, I've got 12 frames here that I'm using. I'm just going to set a key with them right there. I'm gonna go to the 12th frame. I'll move him, I don't know, where is he gonna fly to? No idea. Just go over there. There. So, if we play that, there you go. Isn't that awesome? So here's the thing. If you're, animating stuff, or if you got like, even if you have a background, and like say the background is moving or something like that, and you want to add motion blur to that, so you can track like some objects in the background. It works the same way. I'm just gonna show you right now the transform method, but it's literally like the only thing different would be a tracker. So let's just continue with this. So right now we have the bird animated like this. What I'm gonna do is show you here. So some people will what's it called here? Oops, my microphone's like right in front of my face. Blur. So some people will use this to blur an image. What you can do, this thing has a central blur, so let's actually put it on there. How about that? Yeah, so you can blur it like that, right? But that's not really how motion blur works. It would be in a linear fashion. So there's actually a setting here for linear, and you can set this to wherever, blur length, and then there's a blur angle here. So that'll set like where it's blurring. But this isn't very accurate because it's all manual, right? So you're gonna have to match the movement that you did, so that I'm not liking that. I've seen people use a normal blur like this, and they literally just will bust this open here, and they'll like animate how much blur is going on, like what is it, like 40 or something, and they'll animate that, and if he's going up or whatever, they'll start adding stuff, and it just looks really weird. Since it's just like a normal image, it's not rendered out, there's no passes in here. It's just, RGBA, that's it. So what we can do is actually we can create motion vectors for this. So there's a node that you can use called motion blur 2D. If you just put this on here and connect the 2D transform into the transform, so both of those inputs are in the same transform, this will create motion vectors based on the transform information that's in your transform. So if I look at this and if I view the motion blur 2D, I can switch to motion. Now I have a channel here, right? So, or a pass, excuse me. So if I go here, it's not there. If I go here, it's there. It's because we're creating it. And this is what it looks like. So obviously it looks kind of weird, but if you look at these numbers here, you have red, green, there's no blue, there's no alpha. The way motion vectors work is it's U and V. So U, which is like unilateral, which is like left and right, and V, vertical, is up and down. So the number in red is basically how fast it's moving. If it's a positive number, it'll be moving to the screen right side. If it's a negative number, it'll be moving screen left. Same thing with the green in the vertical. So this just tells me that it's moving, to the right really quickly, 27, and then up slightly. And that's exactly what we're doing with our bird here. That's exactly the animation that we did. So this has the motion vectors that we're using, and that's all it is. So once we have those, we can actually put a vector blur, and you can even animate a vector blur separately, but what's good about this thing is that it accepts a UV channel. So in the motion blur, you're outputting the motion channel into these UVs. You could output it into other channels if you like. You could create a channel, but I mean, this is pretty standard how it is right now. So let's just use that. I'm just gonna set this to RGBA because I just want to affect the RGBA channels. If I want to use these motion vectors, I'll set the UV channels to motion, and then right away you can see that our bird is actually using the channels that we've created, or the UV channels that we've created here, and that's really intense. And you can change it with the multiply, like, you know, have it like less affecting it or more affecting it or whatever. But yeah, this is pretty much, this will give you exactly what your transform is giving you. You can use, if you, like I said earlier, if you have your tracker, you can connect this to your background and then, you know, add your tracks and whatever. And then you can literally connect, you know, this to your image, and the 2D transform would connect into here, and it would use the tracking information to create motion vectors for a moving background, for example, if you didn't have that. But that's obviously relying on your track, not really your hand animation. So that's what you can do with that. There's also, if you have a, you know, if you're exporting your cameras and you have a depth pass, you can use the motion blur 3D node. We're not really using that here because I just have this, you know, simple images off the internet, so I can't really use that here. But this is an option if you're you know, having a camera and all that stuff. So yeah, once it goes over, you have your motion blur, and you know, that's pretty much all there is. If you have any questions about this, it's pretty simple, but I mean, even the simplest things can be kind of daunting, you know, sometimes. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, you know, or you can send me an email, or, you know, whatever you want. You can like the video, you know, you can subscribe. I'm gonna have a lot of videos coming out, so hopefully it'll help people with that, or with, you know, Nuke in general. Yeah, so that's about it for this tutorial. Yeah, have a good day, or, you know, night, depending on your location. Anyway, see you later.